Chosen one. Heaven has interrupted your scroll at this exact second. You didn't stumble here by chance. This moment is divine orchestration. The Spirit of God pulled you to this word because the season of lies, slander, and misjudgment against you is ending. Every false word spoken in secret is already beginning to lose its foundation. You may not see it yet, but the shaking has begun. You've endured much. You've smiled while they whispered, stayed silent while they twisted your truth, and prayed for those who mocked you. You could have fought back, but something within you, something sacred, told you to stay still. Heaven saw that. God counted every tear that fell from your eyes when no one defended your name. And now, the God who saw your pain in private is about to honor you in public. They thought your silence meant surrender. They mistook your grace for weakness, but they did not know you were under divine instruction to let the Lord fight your battles. You were not being passive, you were being preserved. You were not forgotten, you were being fortified. The silence of heaven was not denial, it was set up. God allowed their lies to echo long enough to expose who stood in truth and who stood in pretense. Heaven speaks clearly through the words in Deuteronomy, chapter 32, verse 35. It is mine to avenge, I will repay. In due time their foot will slip. Their day of disaster is near. Their doom rushes upon them. Read that again. Chosen one. It is mine to avenge. You don't have to prove yourself. You don't have to chase rumors or defend your reputation. The one who called you will clear you. The same God who watched you weep in silence is now moving to restore your name with strength and favor. The vindication of God is not subtle, it is sovereign. When He acts, no lie can stand. You've been wondering, Lord, how long must I endure being misunderstood? The answer is simple: until endurance has finished its work. Because when God finishes what He started in you, there will be no residue of bitterness, only power. You were never meant to be their version of you. You were meant to be heaven's version. The rejection of people was merely redirection into purpose. Do you feel that stirring inside your chest right now? That is the shift. Heaven is turning the page on your story. The same people who laughed when they heard the gossip will soon be speechless when they see the glory. Every conversation that used your name as fuel for slander will soon serve as evidence that you were chosen. Your silence was not wasted. God was using it to build something eternal inside you: character, humility, resilience. You carry the oil of those who have suffered without striking back. You carry the weight of divine trust. And because of that, what is coming for, you will not just restore what was taken, it will multiply it. Beloved, I need you to hear this with your spirit. You are stepping into a reversal. The lies that once spread like wildfire are about to burn out. Those who falsely accused you will be forced to acknowledge your fruit. The truth that was buried is rising again, radiant and undeniable. The same energy used to destroy you will now be used to elevate you. God wastes nothing, not even their words. Don't let your heart grow bitter, let it grow brighter. This is your graduation season in the Spirit. Heaven is promoting you, not because you fought for it, but because you stayed faithful. The greatest proof of your anointing is how you handled the assault on your character. When they lied, you loved. When they slandered, you stayed silent. When they mocked, you worshipped. And that posture of grace has provoked heaven's intervention. Now, listen carefully. Every lie is collapsing. Every false testimony is meeting divine exposure. Every tongue that rose against you is being silenced, not by your words, but by His works. You don't need revenge when God Himself says, "I will repay." This word isn't random, it's surgical. It's being delivered at the exact moment you needed reassurance that God hasn't forgotten. The delay was not denial, it was divine choreography. Your name is being rewritten in the Spirit. From rumor to righteousness, from victim to victor. If this message touches your spirit, don't scroll away without responding. Take a prophetic step of faith. Type 777 inches the comments right now. That number represents divine completion and heaven's justice manifesting on your behalf. Then, like, share, and subscribe, because this word will awaken others walking through the same storm. You are part of a divine remnant of truth bearers. Remember this, chosen one. The God who anointed you is the same God who will defend you. Lies may last for a season, but truth is eternal. Their words will crumble. Your calling will stand. You remember the weight of their words, don't you? Chosen one, the sting of whispers that pierced deeper than any blade. The faces that smiled to your face yet tore your name apart the moment you turned away. Words have power. They can bless or break, create or corrupt. And the ones spoken against you were not merely human opinions, they were darts thrown from the shadows. But even as those words fell like arrows, heaven was already crafting a shield around your heart. The pain of betrayal is not forgotten easily. It lingers in the spirit like smoke after a fire. You've replayed those conversations, wondering what you did wrong, why they chose to misrepresent your intentions. You tried to love them purely, to stand in peace. Yet somehow your kindness became ammunition for their jealousy. It was never about what you did, it was about who you are. Light unsettles darkness. Purity exposes pretense. The truth of your soul made counterfeit hearts tremble. Do you know why their words hurt so much? Because you cared. Because you loved honestly. And because you expected the same in return. But the chosen often face this paradox. You carry a heart that heals others. Yet you are often the one wounded most deeply. Your compassion becomes the very thing that makes you vulnerable. But that is also your strength. What was meant to shatter you became the training ground for greater discernment. The Word of God declares in Proverbs, chapter 18, verse 21, "Death and life are in the power of the tongue, and those who love it will eat its fruit." Let that sink in for a moment. Death and life. The same instrument that cursed you is the same one that will soon bless you. The same mouths that released poison will one day release praise when they see what God does through you. You will eat the fruit of your endurance, not the fruit of their lies. God has been teaching you the divine art of stillness. You have learned not to respond from your wounds, but from your wisdom. You have discovered that silence, when led by the Spirit, is not defeat, it is dominion. Every time you refused to retaliate, heaven took note. You may have felt powerless in the moment, but your restraint echoed in eternity. The human instinct is to strike back, to explain, to prove. But you, chosen one, are not ordinary. You were born to operate from a higher frequency, the frequency of truth. You learned that explanation cannot change envy, and humility cannot convince a hardened heart. So you surrendered the desire to be understood and chose to be aligned instead. God allowed their gossip to refine your identity, because sometimes being lied about clarifies who you truly are. Their false version of you could never survive the truth of your calling. Their stories about you were merely distorted shadows. Your real light is far brighter. You may not realize it yet, but those painful words have already birthed purpose. They made you turn inward to find your validation in heaven, not in human applause. They forced you to depend on God's approval, not people's acceptance. You've stopped seeking to be liked. Now you live to be aligned. That's the mark of maturity, the transition from defending your image to protecting your anointing. Remember this truth: lies have speed, but truth has endurance. Lies may run ahead for a season, but truth always finishes the race. What they spoke against you may have echoed for a while, but echoes fade when the source goes silent. The truth, however, is eternal. It resounds with divine authority. You don't need to chase rumors. Truth chases you. And so, chosen one, let the weight of their words fall away. Now, you don't need to carry them any longer. Their words shaped your strength, but they no longer define your worth. The pain that once silenced you is now becoming your testimony. Every insult was a seed. Every wound is becoming wisdom. The day will come soon when you'll look back and thank God for what once broke you. You'll realize that those painful words were necessary for your purification. The weight they placed upon you was the resistance that built your wings. You could not soar without first learning to endure gravity. Take this in deeply. Every cruel word, every false accusation, every slanderous whisper, they are all temporary sounds fading in the distance of destiny. Only truth will remain. And truth is on your side. You are not who they said you were. You never were. You are who God says you are: steady, chosen, purified by pain, and crowned with discernment. Their words will not echo forever, but yours, spoken in faith, will carry the authority of heaven. There came a season, chosen one, when everything went quiet, when your name stopped being spoken aloud, yet the echo of past words still lingered in the air. It was your silent season, a divine pause where God hid you while the noise faded. You thought you were forgotten, but heaven was only concealing you to cultivate something that could not grow in public. Silence, though painful, became your sanctuary. You were not being punished. You were being prepared. In that hidden space, when no one reached out, when no one believed your side of the story, heaven was doing surgery on your soul. The hurt had to be drained. The old dependencies had to die. God couldn't let you enter your next chapter still needing validation from those who lied about you. That's why He separated you. That's why the phone stopped ringing. That's why doors seemed to close. It wasn't rejection, it was redirection. There were nights you cried out, "Lord, where are you?" And heaven answered, in whispers, too holy for words. God didn't abandon you in that quiet. He met you there. He became the only voice you could depend on when every other voice turned against you. The silence became sacred because it stripped away distractions and left only truth. We are reminded through the writings of David in the Psalms, chapter 27, verse 5. For in the day of trouble He will keep me safe in His dwelling. He will hide me in the shelter of His sacred tent and set me high upon a rock. Lil, did you feel that? Even in your loneliness, you were never exposed. You were sheltered. God hid you not to withhold. but to heal. There were enemies planning things you never heard, but heaven intercepted them. There were conversations meant to sabotage you, but God drowned them in stillness. What looked like isolation was divine insulation. When the world misunderstood your silence, heaven applauded it. You stopped explaining. You stopped chasing closure. You started letting peace be your response. That's when your growth began. Because real maturity doesn't happen in applause, it happens in absence. You found your strength not in being seen, but in being still. Your hiddenness was not a delay, it was protection. The same God who allowed the storm is the one who shielded you within it. He was teaching you that when He hides you, He's also revealing your enemies. During that season, He showed you who truly cared and who only came for what you carried. He separated loyalty from leeches, truth from flattery, faith from familiarity. You began to realize that not everyone who claps for you is for you. Some only celebrated you when you were convenient. But when the lies came, they believed the rumors faster than they ever believed your truth. And that revelation, though painful, purified your circle. In your silent season, you learned how to walk with God without needing an audience. You discovered the sweetness of His companionship, the quiet conversations that rebuilt your confidence. You found out that you never needed to be loud to be powerful, and that obscurity was only temporary. God doesn't hide you to humble you. He hides you to highlight you at the right time. The world often mistakes divine delay for divine denial. But you know better now. You learned that God's timing is a shield. When you wanted to prove yourself, He said, "Wait." When you were ready to show them, He said, "Rest." Every hidden day was a layer of preparation for what's coming next. Chosen one, I want you to understand this. Silence is not the absence of movement, it's the sound of God working underground. Roots make no noise when they grow, yet they hold up the entire tree. Your unseen growth has been deep, spiritual, and powerful. And soon, what has been hidden will break the surface with unstoppable force. There is a reason heaven asks you to stay patient. It's because visibility without maturity destroys destinies. God's protection came disguised as delay. His favor came disguised as loneliness. And now, you stand refined, steady, and unshakable. Do not mourn what you lost in the silence. Rejoice for what you gained: discernment, peace, and a closeness to God that no public platform could ever give you. What was taken in exposure is being restored in intimacy. Now, chosen one, type these words in faith. I hear you. Oh, type it. Not as a reaction, but as a declaration that your spirit recognizes divine timing. That simple phrase is your agreement with heaven, that you choose stillness over striving, trust over panic, and preparation over premature exposure. Let it be your prayer, your surrender, and your signal to God that you're ready for the unveiling to come. Because soon, the silence will break, and when it does, it won't just reveal you. It will reveal that you were never forgotten, never forsaken, and never fighting alone. The tables begin to turn quietly at first. Almost imperceptibly, you wake one morning and realize that the heaviness that once sat on your chest has lifted. The sting of their words doesn't pierce as it used to. The memories that once made you ache now make you wiser. This, chosen one, is the first sign of divine reversal, when the pain that once defined you begins to lose its voice. God has a way of turning the unseen gears of justice. He doesn't announce his moves with thunder every time. Sometimes the shift is subtle. A door opens where there was only a wall. Favor finds you without explanation. Peace visits places that once felt cursed. The same mouths that spread falsehoods are starting to choke on their own contradictions. Heaven doesn't need to shout. It simply shifts reality until truth becomes undeniable. There's a rhythm to divine timing. First, the exposure. Then, the reversal. The energy that was used against you now begins to serve your purpose. People who dismissed you start to wonder how you've endured. Opportunities that once ignored you start to seek you out. It's not luck, it's the visible manifestation of invisible faithfulness. God remembers loyalty. God rewards endurance. You see, those who lied about you were playing temporary games, but you were living for eternal truth. You stood still when it would have been easier to strike back. And now heaven honors that restraint. There are laws in the spirit realm that cannot be broken. Whatever is sown must return multiplied. They sowed falsehood, they will reap exposure. You sowed faith, you will reap favor. The ancient words recorded in Romans, chapter 8, verse 28 declare, "And we know that all things work together for good to those who love God, to those who are called according to his purpose." Let that promise settle deep in your spirit, all things. Not some things, every betrayal, every delay, every rumor, every lonely night, they are all working together for your good. You may not see how the pieces fit, but the divine hand arranging them never slips. God has been weaving victory into the very fabric of your suffering. It's a strange thing, isn't it? The same voices that tried to bury you will soon be forced to acknowledge your growth. The same ground they thought was your grave will become your garden. What they meant as an ending, God repurposed as a beginning. You are stepping into a season where what was meant to destroy you becomes the very platform for your rising. There is divine irony in the way God works. He doesn't erase the scene of your humiliation, he transforms it into the stage of your vindication. The conversations that once broke your heart are the same ones that will confirm your breakthrough. The audience that once doubted your calling will soon witness the evidence of it. That's how God restores, not quietly, but completely. When the tables turn, it's not just about payback, it's about perspective. You begin to see why you had to walk through misunderstanding. The lies didn't define you, they refined you. They stripped away every false dependency until only your authentic self remained. You learned to move without seeking approval, to believe without visible support, to trust even when the truth was buried. Now, the balance of heaven adjusts. You won't have to demand apologies, you'll simply outgrow the need for them. You won't need validation. Your fruit will speak louder than any defense ever could. God's justice doesn't always humiliate your enemies. It elevates you until the contrast is undeniable. You may notice small signs. First, a conversation that clears the air. A person who suddenly remembers the truth. A new opportunity that seems to appear from nowhere. These are not coincidences. They are the ripples of divine order restoring itself. Heaven is never late, only precise. Chosen one. The shift you feel is not imagined. It is the fulfillment of God's timing. You are moving from defense to dominion, from reaction to revelation. The winds that once opposed you are now carrying you forward. And as you continue to walk in grace, you'll find that the best revenge was never vengeance at all. It was transformation. Those who lied about you will have to watch you thrive. But here is the mark of a true chosen one. You won't gloat. You will bless. You will remember how it felt to be misunderstood and use your testimony to lift others who are still enduring it. Because the true evidence of victory is not your enemy's downfall, it's your ability to rise without bitterness. Keep walking. Keep shining. The tables are turning, and they are turning in your favor. What once broke you is now bowing before the strength it produced. You were never losing, you were being positioned. The shift has begun, and heaven will finish what it started. Heaven's record keeper misses nothing. Chosen one. Every whisper spoken in the dark, every sentence sharpened against your soul, none of it escaped the eyes of the one who never sleeps. You may have felt invisible, but heaven was taking notes. Each word that pierced your heart was recorded in the divine archives, not to remind you of pain, but to prepare evidence for your vindication. God is both witness and judge, and his timing for justice is flawless. Sometimes, it feels like the universe forgets to balance the scales. You look around and see those who lied, prospering, their voices loud, their platforms growing. But look deeper. God is patient, not absent. He lets people build high without foundation, so that when truth arrives, the collapse reveals everything. You are not forgotten in this balance. You are being reserved for divine timing. Heaven's courtroom is not like man's. Down here, the loudest story often wins. But in the realm of spirit, only truth stands eternal. When the gavel of God falls, there is no appeal. He will not only clear your name, he will rewrite your reputation in the presence of those who doubted you. The lies will return to dust, but your legacy will stand like stone carved by divine hands. The voice of God thundered in the book of Exodus, chapter 14, verse 14. The Lord will fight for you. You need only to be still. End quote. Pause there. Let those words sink in. The Lord himself will fight for you. You won't have to raise your voice or explain your side. The same way the sea parted before Israel, the opposition before you is about to split. The waves that tried to drown you will become the walls that protect you. Think of your story like a tapestry. Up close, the threads look tangled and confusing, but step back, and you see that the chaos formed a picture, a masterpiece only heaven could design. The betrayals, the silences, the rumors, the tears, they are all threads in the same divine artwork. What looked messy was simply incomplete. God is not finished yet. And when he is, even the darkest colors will add depth to your beauty. Sometimes, vindication doesn't come with fireworks. It comes with quiet strength, the kind that makes others wonder how you kept your peace through so much noise. It comes through the glow that appears on your face when you forgive what was unforgivable. It comes when you love again, create again, believe again. Even after the storm, that's when heaven's record keeper smiles, because he sees that the test did not corrupt your heart. And yet, chosen one, your journey is not just about personal redemption, it's about purpose. Someone else will find healing through your scars. Someone drowning in false accusation will breathe again because you dared to rise. When you share your light, you become part of the restoration. Heaven is orchestrating across the earth. That's how God multiplies pain, by turning it into compassion. So, Let this be a sacred invitation. If these words have touched something inside you, if they've reminded you that heaven is still keeping watch, help keep this light burning. Like this message. Share it with someone still lost in their silent season. Subscribe if you haven't. Not for numbers, but for connection, for the family of faith gathering here. Unseen, but united. And if your heart feels moved, consider sowing into this flow. Not because you owe anything, but because giving is how we echo heaven's generosity. When you give, you're saying, Lord, I trust this word. I plant into this soil. Your seed becomes a signal, an act of faith that what you've received will multiply back into your life. Pressed down, shaken together, running over. Picture it like this. Every act of kindness, every share, every small offering, it's another candle lit in the darkness. The world doesn't need more noise, it needs more light. And that light flows when chosen ones like you pass the flame forward. Don't underestimate how your action today could become someone's confirmation tomorrow. The message you share might be the one that stops another chosen soul from giving up. The comment you post might be the echo heaven uses to pull someone out of despair. We are not building an audience here. We are building an altar, a gathering of warriors of truth, each holding their own lamp. Heaven's record keeper writes down more than words. He records motives. And when your motive is love, everything you touch carries eternal weight. The lies once spoken against you will fade, but what you do in love will be written forever. So keep walking with that quiet assurance, knowing that your name is engraved on sacred pages. Heaven remembers what earth forgets. The keeper of records is already turning those old accusations into your testimony. Your story is not one of ruin, it is one of resurrection. The archives of heaven are open, and the verdict has been rendered. You are cleared. You are chosen. You are loved. When you chose peace instead of revenge, heaven took notice. Every time you swallowed words that could have wounded back, every time you forgave when vengeance would have felt easier, you were aligning yourself with divine law. You didn't lose. When you walked away, you won an invisible war. The world called it weakness, but heaven called it wisdom. You may not have seen the results immediately, but mercy always matures into miracles. It's hard, isn't it, to stay kind when people are cruel, to keep praying for those who hoped you would fail, to continue walking in light while others cast shadows with your name. But this is what separates the chosen from the ordinary. The chosen understand that peace is not passivity. It is power restrained, strength controlled, fire tamed by grace. Your decision not to retaliate did more in the spiritual realm than you could ever imagine. You disarmed the enemy's strategy. Every demon that hoped to pull you into anger lost its authority when you refused to react. You broke generational cycles by choosing calm over chaos, surrender over self-defense. That choice, silent, unseen, sacred, shifted the trajectory of your entire lineage. It was proclaimed in the second letter to Timothy, chapter 2, verse 24. And the servant of the Lord must not strive, but be gentle unto all men, apt to teach, patient. End of time. You see, mercy doesn't mean you were naive. It means you were aware enough to recognize that vengeance would only chain you to what God was freeing you from. You chose to step back and let heaven handle what your hands couldn't. You let your tears speak where words would have failed. You prayed for those who spoke against you, not because they deserved it, but because you refused to let bitterness poison your spirit. And now, that decision is bearing fruit. The peace you fought to protect is attracting restoration. The people who laughed at your silence will soon witness your serenity. They won't understand how you can still smile, still bless, still move forward, but that's the evidence of divine strength. You were never fighting flesh and blood. You were fighting for your destiny. Chosen one. The peace you protect today will become the platform you stand on tomorrow. Every moment you could have retaliated and didn't, that's another brick in the foundation of your next level. The more you stayed calm, the more heaven accelerated behind the scenes. You may not have shouted your truth, but God is about to shout your vindication. There's a kind of beauty that only grows in restraint. It's the glow of someone who knows who fights for them. It's the quiet confidence of a soul anchored in divine justice. The world says, "Prove them wrong." Heaven whispers, "Let me prove you right." You chose heaven's whisper, and that has changed everything. Sometimes, God hides his reward inside your rest. When you stopped fighting, the battle ended in the spirit. When you refused to match their energy, heaven changed the atmosphere. The storms you used to fear now recognize your authority. You don't even have to speak. Your peace speaks for you. This is what the enemy never wanted you to understand, that peace is not surrender. It's dominion. It means the battle has already been won, and you're walking in the aftermath of victory. The weapons formed against you couldn't prosper because they couldn't find a target in your peace. So, breathe deeply. Chosen one. You did not lose ground by choosing grace. You claimed new territory. The realm of mercy is sacred. Few walk it. Few endure it. But those who do become living examples of heaven's strength. You are one of them. Now, as a prophetic act of agreement, type 555 inches, the comments below. It's not just a number, it's a symbol of divine grace multiplied. Of transition into a new chapter of spiritual authority. When you write it, you're declaring that peace will be your posture and grace will be your defense. You've sown mercy, now you will reap miracles. You've held your tongue, now God will open doors. You've kept your hands clean, now he will place blessings in them. The ones who watched you suffer will soon witness you shine. The story has already shifted, and peace is your proof. Stay gentle, stay patient, stay grounded in grace. The God who saw your silence is about to reward it openly. Every seed of mercy will bloom into a harvest of justice, and every lie will fall quiet beneath the weight of your peace. The refining fire is not a punishment. Chosen one. It is proof that you carry divine purpose. Every chosen vessel must pass through the flames, not to be consumed, but to be clarified. You wondered why the heat intensified after you chose peace, why new tests appeared even when you thought the old ones were over. That's because peace was the beginning of purification, not the end of it. God wasn't trying to break you. He was burning away everything that could not carry your next level. You see, the fire reveals what words cannot. It shows what is genuine and what is imitation. When gold enters the furnace, it does not protest. It knows the heat will not harm it, only purify it. In the same way, your trials were designed to prove your authenticity. Every false accusation, every delay, every disappointment was the heat that refined your faith until nothing false remained. There were moments when you thought you wouldn't make it. The pressure felt unbearable. the silence too heavy, the wounds too deep, yet here you are still breathing, still believing, still burning, but not consumed. That's the mark of someone chosen by heaven. The fire doesn't destroy you, it defines you. The Spirit spoke through the prophet Zechariah, chapter 13, verse 9. And I will bring the third part through the fire, and will refine them as silver is refined, and will try them as gold is tried. They shall call on my name, and I will hear them. I will say, it is my people, and they shall say, the Lord is my God. Oltha, there it is, the divine exchange. You call his name in the flames, and he calls you his in return. Every tear you shed became a drop of holy oil. Every sleepless night became a prayer offered in purity. Every time you chose faith over fear, heaven heard it as worship. Fire has a strange mercy. It burns away the unnecessary so that only the essential remains. What was once comfortable had to be removed, because comfort cannot coexist with calling. You outgrew certain environments, conversations, and relationships, not because you became arrogant, but because you became refined. The heat forced separation, and though it hurt, it was holy. The refining fire didn't just purify your surroundings, it purified your motives. You began to notice how your prayers changed. You stopped asking for validation and started asking for vision. You stopped praying for people to see you and began praying for God to shape you. The things that once offended you now strengthen you, because you understand. Gold doesn't argue with fire. You've been in that place where everything familiar melted away. The plans you thought would unfold easily turned to ash. But the ashes were not endings, they were beginnings. Out of them, new strength rose, new clarity, new purpose. Like the phoenix that rises brighter from its own dust, your spirit emerged from the flame, more radiant than before. When you looked around and saw nothing left to hold on to, that was when heaven became your anchor. You learned that divine identity doesn't burn. Titles can burn. Reputations can burn. Relationships can burn. But the core of who God made you to be cannot be destroyed. The fire proved it. Now you understand why certain people had to fall away. They were made of material that could not survive your temperature. The intensity of your calling exposed what was temporary, and though the loss felt brutal, it was mercy. God was removing attachments that would have melted under the weight of your rising. You came out different. Your words carry more weight now because they were purified in the fire. Your discernment is sharper because it was forged in trial. You see through illusions because you've lived through deception. You speak peace because you've battled chaos. This is the fruit of refinement, the wisdom that only comes through pain. Fire also forges empathy. The same heat that hardened your resolve softened your heart. You no longer judge others quickly because you know what breaking feels like. You no longer envy those who seem untouched because you know that purity costs something. You love differently now, deeper, quieter, stronger, chosen one. The refining fire didn't change your calling, it revealed it. You were never meant to live an untested life. The greater the assignment, the hotter the flame. God trusted you with this furnace because he saw what was hidden within you: resilience, faith, compassion, strength. You are walking evidence that not even the fiercest fire can consume what heaven has chosen. So do not despise the heat that made you The same fire that once threatened to destroy you has become your testimony. You have been refined, not reduced, purified, not punished. And now, when you walk, your very presence carries the fragrance of endurance, the unmistakable scent of someone who has walked through the fire and found God waiting on the other side. There comes a moment, chosen one, when the veil begins to lift. The season of exposure arrives not to shame, but to reveal. What was whispered in shadows is brought into the light. You start to notice the masks slipping from faces that once smiled with perfect, rehearsed sincerity. It's not paranoia, it's prophecy being fulfilled. God promised that nothing hidden would remain concealed forever. And now, that promise unfolds before your eyes. You feel it first in your spirit before you see it in your surroundings. There's a subtle stirring, an inner awareness that something unseen is shifting. Conversations begin to reveal motives. Actions start contradicting words. The energy around certain people no longer feels peaceful. What once seemed harmless now rings hollow. Heaven has sharpened your discernment not to make you suspicious, but to make you safe. This exposure is not punishment for them, it is protection for you. God cannot bless deceit, and He refuses to let your destiny rest in hands that are not clean. So, exposis, not suddenly, but gently, like the slow unveiling of a painting, layer by layer, until what was hiding beneath the surface becomes clear. Some truths break your heart, others set you free, but all of them make you wiser. The prophet Jeremiah once spoke of such divine unveiling. The Spirit spoke through him in Jeremiah, chapter 16, verse 17. For my eyes are on all their ways, they are not hidden from me, nor is their iniquity concealed from my sight. Oh, it hurts, doesn't it, to see the truth about people you once trusted, to realize that loyalty was often a costume worn for convenience. But as painful as revelation can be, it is holy work. The truth may wound, but it never deceives. It comes to separate what is divine from what is destructive. And though the exposure feels like loss, it is actually liberation. You were not meant to walk with everyone who started with you. Some connections were seasonal, some situational, others simply spiritual lessons disguised as friendships. God knew who could walk with your promise and who would betray it. That's why, even as you cried for people to stay, heaven whispered, "Let them go." Exposure is often God's greatest mercy. If He had allowed deceit to remain hidden, it would have corrupted your peace. Now you see the truth, and though your heart aches, your spirit breathes easier. You no longer waste energy defending yourself to those who secretly hope to see you fail. You no longer pour into relationships that leak trust. You are free, and freedom always follows revelation. The light of truth is relentless. It searches, it exposes, it heals. What once felt like betrayal now feels like clarity. The people who walked away left space for those divinely assigned to enter. The plans that crumbled revealed where manipulation had been hiding. The storm that scattered you has also revealed the ones who were willing to stand in the rain beside you. Chosen one. Do not fear the exposure. It is not your downfall, it is your deliverance. The shaking around you is not chaos, it is cleansing. God is not revealing to embarrass anyone, He is revealing to restore balance. Truth must come before triumph. You cannot rise surrounded by deception, and in this unveiling, You will notice another miracle, your own strength emerging. You no longer flinch at what once frightened you. You no longer second-guess your discernment. The same intuition that once felt like anxiety has proven itself to be divine insight. You see now, with heaven's clarity, you sense the shift before it happens. You recognize counterfeit peace before it settles. This is spiritual maturity, sight born from fire. Clarity born from pain. What's remarkable is how calm you've become in the face of exposure. You no longer need to announce what you know. You simply observe, bless, and move forward. Because revelation without reaction is power. You've learned that sometimes the most prophetic thing you can do is stay silent while truth reveals itself. The exposure season is not meant to make you bitter, it's meant to make you precise. You're learning to invest your love more wisely, to guard your energy more carefully, to surround yourself with those who celebrate your calling rather than compete with it. So when truth unfolds, don't rush to fix what God is dismantling. Let Him finish the unveiling. Trust the process even when it feels unfair. Every secret uncovered, every false alliance revealed, is one step closer to divine order. You are not losing people, you are gaining peace. You are not being stripped, you are being refined. God is clearing the atmosphere around you so that only truth can breathe near your destiny. When the revealing is complete, you'll stand lighter, freer, and ready for what's next. Vindication without violence. This is how heaven moves. It doesn't strike with chaos or vengeance. It simply reveals, restores, and reverses. You, chosen one, are about to witness the kind of justice that doesn't need a weapon, a courtroom, or a debate. God Himself will make it clear who you are, and every tongue that rose against you will grow silent under the weight of His truth. You've spent too long trying to prove what only time and God could prove. You've written explanations that were never read, offered honesty to ears that were never listening, and given grace to hearts that were never grateful. But now, the divine season of vindication begins, not with thunder, but with light. The truth is stepping into its moment, and when truth walks in, lies have nowhere to hide. Vindication is different from revenge. Revenge seeks to destroy, but vindication seeks to define. God will not humiliate your enemies. He will elevate you until the contrast makes the truth undeniable. Your name will be restored not through argument, but through evidence. What they said you were will collapse under what God shows you to be. Scripture says in the book of Micah, chapter 7, verse 8, "Rejoice not against me, O mine enemy. When I fall, I shall arise. When I sit in darkness, the Lord shall be my light." That is the anthem of your life when I fall. I shall arise. They thought your silence meant surrender, but it was the sound of resurrection being prepared. You were never buried. You were planted. The darkness they celebrated was actually your incubation. And now, light breaks through the soil, declaring that no lie can outlast the truth of a chosen soul. Vindication comes quietly. It doesn't announce itself, it simply shifts the atmosphere. The same people who ignored you will suddenly remember your name. The same spaces that close their doors will start opening new ones without you demanding it. Life itself will begin to correct the narrative. Heaven has a way of balancing stories so perfectly that even you will marvel at the symmetry. You see, when God vindicates, He doesn't erase the pain, He redeems it. The tears remain part of the testimony. The betrayal stays in the story. Not as shame, but as evidence. Every scar becomes a signature of divine faithfulness. Those who thought they buried you will have to testify that you bloomed anyway. You'll know vindication has arrived when peace replaces anger, when you no longer crave apologies, because your healing speaks louder than any confession could. When you can look at the people who wounded you and feel nothing but gratitude, knowing they unknowingly propelled you toward your purpose. That's when you'll realize heaven already settled the case. Vindication without violence is the mark of true anointing. You're not just surviving lies, you're transcending them. You are walking proof that silence can be louder than slander. You're learning that sometimes the best response to falsehood is fruitfulness, because the fruit of your faithfulness will always outlive the sound of their lies. Think of it like this: a tree doesn't argue with the wind that shakes it. It just keeps growing. And soon, the roots hold stronger than the storm. That's you. You've been shaken, bent, and bruised, but you never broke. The same wind that tried to uproot you only forced your roots deeper into purpose. Vindication is not coming, it's here. It's showing up in your peace, your new strength, your ability to smile again. It's in the opportunities that found you without you chasing them. It's in the quiet ways God is rewriting your story while others still gossip about the old version. You don't need to fight for attention. You're about to attract it by divine design. And when people ask how it happened, you'll simply say, God did it, because He did. Every closed door that forced you to look higher, every delay that redirected you, every silence that shielded you, it all led to this moment. Heaven has ruled in your favor, and the verdict is permanent. Now, as an act of agreement with this truth, type, "It is done." Just those 3 words short. Simple, prophetic. Type them not as a comment, but as a decree over your life. When you write it, you're not just affirming your faith, you're sealing your story. You're saying, Lord, I trust your justice. I release the need to explain. I rest in your vindication. And as those words leave your fingertips, know that the heavens are echoing them. It is done, every lie silenced, every truth revealed, every wound redeemed. You are walking into a chapter where no explanation is needed, because the evidence of God's hand will speak for you. Vindication without violence, grace without grudges, light without loudness. This is how heaven wins, and this is how you rise, crowned in the same place you were mocked. This is the divine poetry of God's justice. The very ground that soaked your tears will soon witness your triumph. The same stage where you were ridiculed will echo with your redemption. Heaven doesn't move you to a new battlefield to honor you. It transforms the old one into holy ground. Think of Joseph standing in Egypt. The same brothers who sold him for silver bowed before him for grain. Think of Hannah, once mocked for her barrenness, now cradling a prophet in her arms. Think of Jesus, crucified on a hill of shame, rising from the very tomb meant to silence him. The pattern is divine and consistent. God brings glory from the same soil that birthed grief. Beloved chosen one, you are entering that divine reversal. You've spent seasons being misunderstood, underestimated, and overlooked. Yet every insult was secretly constructing your crown. What others used to weigh you down, heaven used to shape your posture for royalty. The ridicule was resistance training for your spirit. The betrayal was rehearsal for leadership. The isolation was initiation into destiny. The ancient words recorded in James, chapter 1, verset 12 declare, "Blessed is the one who perseveres under trial, because, having stood the test, that person will receive the crown of life the Lord has promised." Read that again and let it resonate deep inside you, having stood the test. You stood when it would have been easier to run. You believed when it would have been easier to doubt. You stayed soft when the world tried to harden you. That endurance has not gone unnoticed. Heaven has marked you for reward, not as payment, but as recognition. When the crown appears, it won't descend from the heavens with fanfare. It will rise from the very pain that tried to bury you. The same tears that once fell like rain will water the soil of your next season. Your endurance has produced roots too deep for any storm to uproot. You are not being rewarded despite the trial. You are being crowned through it. Because endurance always translates into authority. Imagine the goldsmith at work. He doesn't shape the crown from raw metal. He melts it first. The fire brings out the brilliance hidden within. Likewise, God allowed the heat in your life not to harm you, but to reveal the gold you didn't know you carried. Every moment of pressure was heaven's molding process, refining your resilience, softening your heart, strengthening your voice. Now, the same voices that once questioned you will bear witness to what God is doing, but you will not gloat. True royalty never competes, it radiates. Your victory will be so peaceful that it will confuse your critics. The crown is not for revenge, it's for representation. You will wear it not to prove your worth, but to reveal God's faithfulness. Your elevation will feel subtle at first. It may come as unexpected favor, open doors, or divine connections. Yet, it will carry a power no slander can reverse. You'll know the moment has arrived when peace replaces pressure. The crown of life is not heavy. It sits perfectly on those who have been refined. Now, chosen one. As you read these words, if your spirit stirs, it's because heaven is aligning you with this very moment. You are being called to stand tall again, to believe again, to hope again. You are being crowned, not in silence, but in stillness. And I want to invite you, from one soul to another, to help keep this flow of light alive. Like this message, if it reminded you that pain has purpose, share it with someone who's forgotten that their trial is temporary. Subscribe so you won't miss what heaven continues to release. Here, a steady stream of words that remind you who you are. And if you feel led, sow a seed into this light, not as a transaction, but as transformation. Giving is not losing, it's planting. Every act of generosity becomes a spark that lights another candle in this digital temple. Together, we make sure the flame keeps spreading, touching hearts across distances unseen. Your support keeps this sanctuary open for the weary. Your kindness fuels the flow of hope that others will stumble upon in their darkest nights. Think of it not as donation, but devotion, a reflection of gratitude to the one who never let the fire consume you. You are proof that endurance produces glory. You will be crowned in the same place you were mocked, not to remind the world of its cruelty, but to remind it of God's mercy. When they see your calm, your compassion, your peace, they'll understand that true royalty is forged in pain and revealed in grace. Chosen one. Lift your head. The fire is fading, and the gold is gleaming. The crown fits perfectly because it was always meant for you. God's signature move is reversal. He takes what was meant for evil and bends it into a testimony so beautiful that even your pain begins to make sense. You see, chosen one. Heaven does not waste anything. Every betrayal, every silence, every false accusation, none of it slipped through the cracks of divine purpose. It all becomes material for the masterpiece. The story you thought was ruined is being rewritten by the same hand that once etched galaxies into the sky. Reversal is not merely about changing your circumstances, it's about transforming your perception. God didn't just pull Joseph from the pit. He made Joseph understand why the pit was necessary. He didn't just calm the storm for the disciples. He taught them who he truly was in the middle of it. The miracle was never only about escape. It was about revelation. That's what's happening in your life right now. The reversal is not just around you, it's within you. As was spoken in the sacred texts of Genesis, chapter 50, verse 20, "You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good, to accomplish what is now being done, the saving of many lives." Hey, you have lived long enough now to see the patterns. How closed doors preserved you from counterfeit blessings. How heartbreaks purified your vision. How disappointments birthed discipline. Each time you cried, heaven wasn't ignoring you. It was irrigating the soil of your next harvest. The reversal began quietly, almost unnoticeably. You started sleeping peacefully again. The conversations that used to trigger pain lost their power. The people who once made you feel small no longer occupy space in your spirit. That's how you know the tables have turned, not because others fall, but because you no longer need them to. The real evidence of reversal is inner freedom. You're no longer haunted by what they said or did. You've learned to bless even the memory of your enemies, because without them, you wouldn't have developed this depth of discernment. You've reached that rare level of peace where you thank God for what you once begged Him to remove. Heaven's strategy always looks backward to the natural eye. The crucifixion looked like defeat until the third day. The pit looked like a prison until Pharaoh had a dream. The exile looked like punishment until restoration revealed its glory. So don't fear when your path curves in strange directions. Divine logic often confuses human understanding. The reversal you're walking through is unfolding perfectly. Even if it looks like chaos from the outside, God has this way of turning contrasts into confirmations. The greater the attack, the greater the assignment, the deeper the valley, the higher the mountain ahead. You've been through enough darkness to recognize light when it comes. That's why your praise is different. Now it's quieter, deeper, more sincere. You no longer worship because life is easy. You worship because you finally see that every difficulty was leading you closer to destiny. The old version of you fought battles with fear and exhaustion. The refined version of you fights with faith and wisdom. You no longer rush to defend yourself because you've realized that defense is God's department. Your only task is obedience. Every time you chose integrity over image, heaven applauded. Every time you walked away from conflict that could have destroyed your peace, heaven promoted you. You may not have seen it, but each act of restraint wrote another line in the story of your reversal. This is the beauty of being chosen. You can't lose when you belong to a God who recycles pain. He wastes nothing, even your mistakes. When surrendered, become part of your ministry. What the enemy used to shame you, God now uses to shape you. The scars that once embarrassed you are now your credentials. The pain you survived is now your passport to new places of purpose. So, breathe deeply. Chosen one. The hardest part is already behind you. The tide has turned. What was once a storm is now wind in your sails. The same currents that tried to drown you are now carrying you toward destiny. The enemy's trap became your training. The lie became your ladder. The wilderness became your weapon. Reversal doesn't erase the past, it redeems it. You won't forget what happened, but you will no longer feel bound by it. The memory remains, but the sting is gone. You've crossed the invisible line between victim and victor, between bitterness and blessing. The story is the same, but the ending is rewritten in glory. You have reached the breaking point of darkness. Chosen one. The pressure that once surrounded you is starting to crack from within. Every hidden scheme, every unseen battle, every whispered curse, it is all losing its grip. The light within you is burning brighter, and darkness can no longer pretend it has power. What was once a struggle is now a shift. Heaven has declared enough. There were nights when the weight of unseen warfare pressed on your chest, when exhaustion spoke louder than faith. You felt surrounded. But what you didn't realize was that the battle was proof of your significance. Darkness does not waste energy on those who pose no threat. The intensity of your struggle was the confirmation of your impact. You carried a light that terrified the shadows. Every time you prayed, atmospheres changed. Every time you worshipped through pain, you wounded the enemy's plan. Even in your weakness, your presence carried the authority of heaven. That's why the pressure increased, not because you were failing, but because you were succeeding. As Jesus himself declared in the Gospel of Luke, chapter 10, verse 19, "Behold, I give unto you power to tread on serpents and scorpions, and over all the power of the enemy, and nothing shall by any means hurt you." Those words are not history, they are inheritance. You walk in authority, not fear. The darkness has roared, but its roar is hollow. Its power ends where your faith begins. The serpents that once surrounded you are now under your feet. Every attack that formed against you is collapsing under the weight of divine decree. You see, every chosen one faces this pivotal season, the breaking point of darkness. It's that moment when the warfare feels unbearable, right before the breakthrough arrives. It's the last gasp of opposition before the dawn. The enemy fights hardest when he knows he's losing ground. That's why your struggle intensified. It was the sound of surrender from the forces that once opposed you. You may have felt abandoned, but heaven was closer than ever. God didn't stop the attack immediately because he wanted you to see what authority looks like in your own voice. He didn't silence the storm because he wanted you to learn that you could command peace in it. The warfare wasn't meant to destroy you. It was designed to reveal your dominion. Now, the tables are shifting in the unseen. The atmosphere around your life is being rewritten in light. The strongholds that once held you captive are breaking mental chains, emotional ties, spiritual burdens, all dissolving in the presence of divine power. The darkness that once surrounded you is trembling because it recognizes that you are no longer afraid. When light stands firm, darkness flees. That is the law of heaven. You don't have to fight harder, you only have to stand stronger. The enemy's final weapon was fear, and you've already overcome it. Every time you chose faith over panic, heaven advanced your victory. Every time you kept believing, even when you couldn't see, the walls of oppression weakened. Chosen one, this is your turning point. The night is giving way to morning. The air feels different because heaven is near. You've outlasted the attack. And now the reward is unfolding. This is not wishful thinking, it's divine timing. The very pressure that once threatened to break you has birthed new strength. And now, as an act of faith, take a prophetic step. Type 999 inches, the comments below, not as superstition, but as a declaration, an ending to old cycles and the birth of divine completion. That number symbolizes the closing of one chapter and the readiness for another. When you write it, you're saying, the darkness is finished. I step into new light. Don't underestimate this small act. It's not about numbers, it's about alignment. Every move made in faith becomes a doorway for heaven to move through. When you type it, imagine the chains breaking, the fog clearing, the weight lifting. See yourself standing in radiant light, crowned not with pride, but with peace. The breaking point of darkness is not destruction, it's deliverance. You're not just surviving the battle, you're inheriting the blessing. You fought long enough to see the shift. The heaviness you've felt is the echo of chains that have already fallen. The enemy is retreating. Heaven is advancing. And you, beloved, chosen, refined, are arising. The voice that once trembled in pain now speaks with authority. The heart that once broke under pressure now beats with power. You carry the mark of those who endured. You are not stepping out of the fire empty-handed. You are stepping out carrying light for others. The darkness has had its last word. Now heaven speaks. You win. You rise. You reign. Your name is now in the mouth of angels. Chosen one. While people spoke of you with distortion and mockery, heaven was speaking your name in honor and authority. The contrast is divine earth questioned you, but heaven confirmed you. Every time you felt unheard, angels were whispering your name before the throne of God, carrying your petitions as incense into the courts of eternity. You may not see them, but the realm of light has been working tirelessly on your behalf. There are records in heaven where your endurance has been documented, moments when you kept faith while your heart was breaking, when you stayed kind under attack, when you chose silence over bitterness. Those choices were not invisible. They became songs in the spirit, melodies that angels carried upward, turning your suffering into worship. We are reminded through the writings of David in the Psalms, chapter 91, verse 11, "For he will command his angels concerning you to guard you in all your ways." Those words are not poetic sentiment, they are a decree. You have been guarded sometimes by intervention you didn't notice, sometimes by delays that frustrated you but saved you, the car that didn't start, the opportunity that slipped away, the connection that broke suddenly. Each of these was heaven saying, "Not this path. Not yet." Angels redirected your steps when danger hid behind what looked like blessing. There were days when you woke up without explanation, feeling peace after nights of despair. That peace wasn't random, it was reinforcement. Heavenly beings were surrounding you, restoring your strength, whispering courage into your weary heart. They formed a circle of light around your vulnerability, ensuring that your purpose would not be devoured by darkness. Even now, as you read this, that presence is near, calm, steady, radiant. It does not announce itself with spectacle. It simply stands beside you, silent but strong. Because your life is not ordinary, it is strategic. The call upon you carries eternal implications, and heaven protects what carries eternal weight. You may have wondered why, despite every lie and obstacle, you never truly collapsed. It wasn't because you were stronger than others, it was because you were surrounded. Angels were assigned to your endurance long before the attacks began. They have watched over you like sentinels of light, ensuring that even in your weakest hour, something within you refused to die. Sometimes protection doesn't look like a shield, it looks like resilience. Every time you got back up, it was evidence of assistance. You weren't rising alone, you were being lifted. Every coincidence that worked in your favor, every moment the right word appeared at the right time, every dream that guided you away from danger, all of these were the fingerprints of divine guardianship. When heaven speaks your name, it carries a tone of ownership. You are not just known, you are claimed. The angels do not merely protect you, they celebrate you. They marvel at your faith, at how you continue to trust a God you cannot see, at how you love through wounds that would have made others bitter. To them, your faith is luminous, a living flame that outshines the memory of the pain that tried to extinguish it. And here is something few understand. Angels respond not to fear, but to faith. Every prayer uttered in hope, every declaration spoken through tears, it becomes a command signal in the realm of light. When you said, "I still trust you, Lord," in your lowest hour, you gave heaven permission to intervene. When you said, "I forgive," you dismantled fortresses of darkness that once blocked your path. Your name carries new resonance now. It rings differently in the spirit. Where once it was associated with confusion and pain, it is now synonymous with endurance and purity. Heaven calls your name, not as a victim, but as a victor. Your story has been sung in the halls of eternity as an example of what faith can birth in the middle of fire. Chosen one. When the enemy tried to erase your name from favor, God engraved it deeper into destiny. When they whispered against you, heaven amplified your truth. Your name became an anthem, not an accusation. Angels carry it with honor now, because it represents victory born from obedience. And though you walk still in a world of noise, your spirit moves in quiet authority. You no longer need recognition. Heaven's acknowledgement is enough. You no longer chase validation. Your vindication has already been sealed. When you walk, the unseen bows. When you speak, the atmosphere shifts. Because your name is not merely a label, it is a banner of survival. A declaration that grace prevailed. The prophetic harvest begins quietly, like dawn breaking after a storm. It doesn't arrive with fanfare or fireworks. It arrives with a strange calmness, a deep knowing that the season has shifted. The very ground that once swallowed your tears begins to breathe life again. The same soil that received your pain now returns your promise. Heaven has remembered every seed you sowed in silence. And now the earth itself bears witness that nothing you endured was in vain. You are standing at the edge of manifestation. What once looked barren is trembling with growth beneath the surface. The field of your life is responding to divine timing. The years of endurance, the seasons of obscurity, the countless prayers that seemed unanswered, all of them have matured into a harvest that cannot be denied. What you planted in faith is being multiplied in grace. The apostle reminds us in Galatians chapter 6, verse 9, And let us not grow weary while doing good. For in due season we shall reap if we do not lose heart. In due season, those words are heavy with promise. You were never forgotten, you were simply being ripened for your time. God's seasons do not move according to human calendars. He waits until the fruit of endurance is sweet enough to bless others. Every delay was deliberate. Every pause had purpose. You have been faithful in the drought, and that faithfulness has called forth the rain. Your kindness, when others were cruel, became a seed. Your forgiveness, when others slandered you, became a seed. Your continued belief, when hope seemed impossible, every act of quiet obedience planted something eternal in the soil of destiny. Heaven does not ignore such faith. It counts every sacrifice. And now, the reckoning of reward begins. This is not the shallow harvest of applause or recognition. This is the deep harvest of transformation. You are not merely receiving things, you are becoming someone. The blessing is not what you gain, but who you have become through the process. You have become patient, wise, discerning, compassionate. The pain that once made you question your worth has now taught you your value. You no longer beg for opportunities, you attract them through alignment. The prophetic harvest manifests in ways the natural mind can't predict. A phone call, a divine connection, a door that opens without effort. Suddenly, the things you once chased begin to find you. That's how heaven works. It brings the harvest to the heart that stayed faithful in hiddenness. You don't have to run after it. You simply have to be ready to receive. The harvest also comes in peace, the kind of peace that silences every voice of doubt. You wake one day and realize that what used to trigger you no longer has power. You look back on situations that once broke you and feel gratitude instead of pain. That's the fruit of healing, the sweetest fruit of all. It's easy to think of harvest as reward, but it's really revelation. It reveals what kind of seed you sowed. Because the soil only multiplies what was planted. You sowed integrity, and now you will reap influence. You sowed prayer, and now you will reap power. You sowed forgiveness, and now you will reap freedom. The earth never lies. It gives back what you've given it, multiplied through divine mercy. There's a quiet holiness in this stage of your journey. You no longer feel the urge to prove anything. The same storms that once threatened to destroy you now water your roots. The same winds that once tried to uproot you now carry your fragrance. Everything has changed because you have changed. You learned how to wait without complaining, how to serve without being seen, how to hope without evidence. That's what made you fertile ground for miracles. And though others may not understand how your season turned, you do. You know the hours you spent weeping in prayer. You know the nights you whispered, "Lord, I trust you," through trembling lips. You know the cost of this calm. That's why your gratitude runs deeper than words. In this harvest, you will notice something else: rest. Not laziness, but rest that comes from knowing you don't need to force what is already yours. Rest that comes when striving is replaced by surrender. That rest is the rhythm of heaven. It is the sound of answered prayer moving through time, gathering every seed you planted and returning it as abundance. Chosen one. The harvest is not coming someday. It's unfolding even now. Every area of lack is being filled. Every part of your story is aligning with divine purpose. The fields are singing. The soil is responding. The reaping has begun. You are walking into the reward of endurance. and it will speak louder than any accusation ever could. You were always the evidence. Chosen one. The very attacks against you were proof of your assignment. Every lie, every rejection, every door slammed in your face, it all testified to your importance in the unseen war between light and darkness. You didn't realize it then, but you were walking evidence of divine favor. The fact that you were targeted so intensely was never a sign of weakness, it was a sign of worth. Darkness never wastes its energy on the insignificant. It only attacks what carries weight. You have always carried something eternal, a light that cannot be replicated. A presence that shifts atmospheres. That's why you were misunderstood. People could sense your difference, but not everyone could discern its source. You became both magnet and mirror, drawing souls hungry for truth while reflecting the shadows of those not ready to face their own. Every trial you faced was a courtroom in heaven. Every accusation gave God an opportunity to display His justice through you. You didn't need to defend yourself because your endurance became your testimony. The enemy built false narratives, hoping to bury your name. But God used those very lies as soil to plant your legacy. The seeds of slander became the garden of your glory. The Apostle Paul once wrote of such mystery in 2 Corinthians chapter 4, verse 17. For our light affliction, which is but for a moment, is working for us a far more exceeding and eternal weight of glory. That's the secret. What once weighed you down is now working for you. The pressure you felt was heaven's press, shaping you into living evidence of endurance, grace, and divine glory. You are not what you went through, you are what survived it. Look back for a moment. Every season that seemed unbearable now glows with purpose. The heartbreak that once silenced you birthed empathy. The betrayal that broke you gave you wisdom. The loneliness that crushed you taught you how to hear God clearly. And now, you walk with that quiet power, the kind that doesn't need to announce itself. People feel it before you speak. They sense that you have been somewhere sacred, that you have fought invisible battles and emerged not bitter, but radiant. Your presence testifies. You carry the evidence in your peace, in your patience. In the calm way, you move through storms that once terrified you. You are the sermon and the sign, the living, breathing answer to prayers you once cried through trembling lips. When others see you, they see what survival looks like when it's surrendered to God. That is why your story matters not for fame, but for freedom. Someone else's faith depends on your transparency. And now, as you stand in this clarity, I want to invite you to do something sacred. Help keep this light flowing. Like this message, if it found you when you needed to remember who you are, share it with someone walking through a storm who's forgotten that they, too, are evidence. Subscribe, not as a formality, but as a commitment to stay connected to this river of truth that keeps hearts breathing and hope alive. And if this space has poured into you, consider sowing back, not out of obligation, but out of overflow. When you give, you are lighting another candle. Picture a lighthouse on a cliff. One beacon alone can guide a few. But when hundreds shine together, they can steer an entire generation through darkness. Your contribution, no matter how small, fuels that light. It keeps these words flowing into the corners of the world where silence has suffocated hope. You're not just supporting words, you're building a bridge. Somewhere, a weary soul will stumble across what you helped sustain. and they'll find a reason to breathe again. That's how heaven multiplies purpose. It takes your faith and turns it into someone else's breakthrough. When you comment below, write something that carries your spirit. Write what this message stirred in you. Each comment becomes a testimony. Each testimony becomes a seed. You never know who might scroll through and read your words at the exact moment they're about to give up. That's ministry in motion. Beloved, chosen one, you are the proof that God still writes redemption stories. You're the evidence that broken hearts can still beat with courage, that silence can become strength, that wounds can become windows for light. The same God who carried you through the fire now displays you as his masterpiece, not for pride, but for purpose. You stand now among the rising of the chosen remnant, scattered across nations, languages, and generations. They are the ones who endured what others could not. Like you, they were misunderstood, misrepresented, and molded in silence. Each of them carries scars that tell stories of survival and surrender. Together, you form the quiet army of light warriors of truth, forged in obscurity. Unified, not by title, but by testimony. This remnant is unlike anything the world has seen. They move without needing applause, lead without needing recognition, and love without needing reward. They do not gather around platforms, they gather around presence. They do not chase attention, they chase alignment. The chosen remnant is heaven's response to a generation drowning in noise. When they speak, the earth pauses. Not because of volume, but because of authority. And you, chosen one, are part of that army. You didn't sign up for it. You were summoned to it. Every heartbreak, every betrayal, every delay was a form of training. You learned endurance when others sought escape. You learned discernment when others sought distraction. The pain that isolated you was the classroom that prepared you for connection with others who carry the same spiritual frequency. The Apostle Paul once described such people in the book of Romans, chapter 11, verse 5. So too, at the present time there is a remnant chosen by grace. That word grace is the thread that binds you all. Grace found each of you at the edge of despair and said, "Live." Grace taught you how to stand when strength failed. Grace reminded you that you were not forgotten, even when the world turned away. Grace stitched your stories together into a single tapestry of divine redemption. The rising of this remnant is not loud, it is luminous. They appear quietly in every sphere, teachers who speak life into weary students, artists who create with purity, leaders who choose integrity over popularity, healers who pray in secret while others seek fame. They are invisible to headlines, but unmistakable in impact. Their lives radiate truth like lanterns in an age of deception. You will recognize them easily, not by their words, but by their spirit. They carry peace that cannot be faked, humility that cannot be imitated, love that cannot be exhausted. When they walk into a room, the atmosphere changes. When they speak, confusion dissipates. They don't compete, they complement. Each one plays a different note, yet together they form heaven's symphony. You have felt alone for so long that it might surprise you to discover you were never isolated, only incubated. The isolation was preparation for connection. Heaven was cultivating you separately so that when the remnant rises collectively, you would be ready to lead from authenticity, not ambition. The solitude taught you empathy. The suffering taught you understanding. and the silence taught you to hear God clearly. The world will soon need this remnant more than ever. As deception deepens and truth is twisted, these chosen ones will stand as living compasses pointing not to ideology, but to integrity. They won't shout to be heard. They'll whisper truth and let their peace do the preaching. Their power won't be found in dominance, but in discernment. You might ask, why me? But the answer has been written in your journey. You've been through too much fire to doubt your calling now. Every scar on your soul is an inscription of authority. The darkness that once tried to destroy you only certified your rank. You didn't just survive, you graduated. You didn't just make it through, you mastered endurance. That's what makes you part of the remnant, those who refuse to be defined by what they endured, yet never forget where they came from. And when this remnant rises in fullness, it won't look like an army marching, it will look like light spreading in homes, in workplaces, in digital spaces, in hidden corners of the world. Glimmers of truth will ignite. The broken will find healing in their presence, and the lost will find direction through their compassion. Heaven's kingdom will expand quietly through acts of kindness, words of wisdom, and hearts that radiate love without expectation. You, chosen one, are not just a recipient of this movement, you are part of its heartbeat. Your words, your choices, your faithfulness contribute to the sound of heaven echoing through the earth. You have become a living flame, kindled not for spectacle, but for service. So lift your eyes, not in pride, but in purpose. The loneliness was training for leadership. The pain was preparation for partnership. The silence was seasoning for speech. You have been crafted for this very hour to stand among those who carry heaven's agenda with humility, strength, and love. The remnant is rising, and their light is unstoppable. Together, they will remind the world that truth still breathes, mercy still reigns, and grace still chooses the unlikely to perform the extraordinary. And now, chosen one, the final act unfolds the crumbling of every lie. The words once spoken against you, heavy with venom and intent to destroy, are collapsing under the gravity of truth. The voices that once seemed so loud have gone quiet, their echoes swallowed by time and revelation. What once oppressed you now serves as a reminder of what could not conquer you. The air feels lighter because deception has lost its shape. The chains of falsehood no longer fit your name. It doesn't happen with thunder, it happens in silence. Lies rarely fall loudly. They dissolve, like shadows at dawn, retreating quietly as the light rises. You wake one morning, and it's simply gone: the sting, the weight, the confusion. The false narratives that once followed you lose their footing, collapsing like brittle walls of sand. The truth, steady and calm, remains standing. This moment is not vengeance, it's vindication. Heaven never promised revenge, it promised restoration. And restoration always arrives dressed as peace. You don't need to see your accusers humbled. You simply need to feel your own freedom. The truth does not need witnesses, it simply exists. The prophet Isaiah once spoke of this holy exchange, as written in Isaiah, chapter 60, verse 22. The least of you will become 1,000, the smallest a mighty nation. I am the Lord. In its time I will do this swiftly. 1. That time is now. Swiftly, quietly, perfectly. God is bringing your truth into full bloom. What took years to unravel in confusion will take only moments for heaven to clarify. The lie that seemed permanent was never real. It was temporary fiction built on fear. It cannot survive the fire of revelation. The people who once believed the worst about you are starting to see through the fog. Their memories are correcting themselves. Their judgments are softening. But more importantly, you are being healed from the need to care. The truth isn't just clearing your name, it's cleansing your heart. You no longer carry the bitterness of being misunderstood. You no longer rehearse old wounds in your mind. You have stepped beyond the reach of accusation. What was once a battlefield has become a sanctuary. You don't fight anymore. You simply stand. You don't explain. You emanate. Your peace speaks louder than defense ever could. You are no longer reacting to lies. You are radiating truth. And truth, by nature, does not argue. It just shines. There is a deep beauty in watching falsehood collapse. It doesn't need your anger, your explanation, or your energy. The weight of its own emptiness brings it down. Every deception eventually trips over itself, and every dishonest tongue meets silence when confronted by the undeniable evidence of God's hand. That is your life now, a living contradiction to every false word ever spoken against you. You have become untouchable in the most spiritual sense, not because you are perfect, but because you are pure. Purity is protection. Integrity is armor. When your heart stays aligned with truth, lies cannot attach themselves to you. They slide off, rejected by the frequency of your authenticity. That is why the darkness fought so hard to make you compromise. It knew that a pure soul is an unstoppable force. You are walking in that purity now, and heaven celebrates it. The very angels that carried your prayers are now bearing witness to your peace. They have seen the full circle, how every accusation forged your endurance, how every false word purified your focus, how every storm refined your soul. You didn't just survive deception, you transcended it. The crumbling of lies is not the end, it's the beginning of clarity. You see yourself differently now. You no longer chase approval or fear misunderstanding. You've learned to rest in divine perception. You know that what God knows about you matters infinitely more than what anyone says. That revelation alone is liberation. Look around you now. What once looked broken has become beautiful. The ashes have turned to testimony. The isolation has become illumination. Every lie has lost its shadow because truth stands taller. You are the evidence of endurance, the embodiment of divine justice. And though you won't say it aloud, deep inside, you know you have changed. You've become lighter, wiser, stronger. You've stopped needing closure because God Himself became your conclusion. You've stopped seeking validation because heaven's record is enough. You've stopped revisiting the pain because purpose replaced it. The world sees calm, but heaven sees triumph. The story is complete. The lies have fallen. The truth stands radiant. The chosen one has risen, not in noise, but in light. The story rests here. Chosen one. Yet the journey continues. You have walked through fire, silence, revelation, and glory, and now you stand radiant in truth. The lies are dust. The pain is seed. The peace is proof. You are the living testimony that light always wins. If these words have found you, let them find others too. Like this message, so that the echo of hope keeps moving through the noise. Share it with someone standing where you once stood, tired, doubting, yet on the edge of divine breakthrough. Your simple act could become someone's awakening. Leave a comment below, not just words, but a piece of your spirit. Speak what this journey stirred in you. Your testimony might be the spark that ignites healing in another soul. And if this space has reminded you who you are, subscribe, not to follow a voice, but to stay connected to the flow of truth that keeps rising through these messages. Each word here is another candle lit in the darkness. The lies have crumbled, the light has prevailed, and you, beloved, are still standing chosen, crowned, and unstoppable.